Welcome to baseball in 2024. It's full of pitching, and more pitching. Seriously, how the fuck can you hit any of these balls? Even the big leaguers are having trouble doing so. That's why batting averages are the lowest in 50 years, and velocity's at an all-time high. We will strike out, and we will strike out like men. At least until the Tommy John comes around. There's a lot of teams to go over in the AL. God bless them in their quest. We anticipated the Orioles doing damage this season after their emergence from the ashes. They certainly haven't disappointed in that endeavor. In a dogfight with the Yankees for AL East supremacy. With their bats making widows of baseballs everywhere, it's obvious as to why. They hit almost 150 dingers in the first half alone. Gunnar Henderson and Jordan Westburg are raking at a solid click. Rutschman is Rutschman. Santander is tearing the cover off the ball. They somehow have even more coming in the ranks. The only guy really struggling is Cedric Mullins, and he's probably due to get back on it soon. But what they needed were starters. They got them. Corbin Burns has been the ace prophesized to them in their dreams and then some. Albert Suarez hasn't exactly been envisioned, but him emerging as a quality starter at his age? Most impressive. Grayson Rodriguez is still being a stud. Even Craig Kimbrell hasn't been a total gas can so far. It'll be time to face the true test, and that's October. More prepared for such an occasion in recent history. You just wish Means and Bradish weren't out for the year, but that's just the nature of the beast. They'll have other arms to pick up the slack. This might be the biggest surprise in all of baseball. The Red Sox aren't mid. It's an amazing sight. A team revived in spite of FSG's quest for endless money. A team that might top 3 million people in the seats this year. A team of Yankee killers throughout the lineup. That might honestly be the best part of it all. Jarren Duran's emergence as a star has given Devers the foil that he desperately needs to lead the way. Together they aid a chorus of arms that have turned into one of the best groups in the league. Kenley Jansen found his old 2019 form, dominating the ninth like he did in LA. It's full of fips in the 2s and 3s, which signals it's not being carried by fielding. Main concern? Starting rotation depth. Tanner Houck is turning into a staff ace, but what else is around him? Besides Cutter Crawford. The Giolito plan backfired, and of course Chris Sale returns to old form the moment he leaves Boston. The injury bug moved on to Vaughn Grissom, it seems. They should have another starter or two round into form, so unlike Trevor's story, this one shouldn't end early on due to severe injury. A cloud of smug encompassed all the Bronx with the news of the first few months of the season. Here come the Yankees. Hide the women and children. Aaron Judge has been hitting bombs and he ain't stopping for anything. Whole team's been launching air raids over the fence so often it puts the Luftwaffe to shame. Second in the league in homers, only behind the Menace a few hours south. No Garrett Cole, no problem. They'll just have Luis Hill come out of fucking nowhere and turn into an absolute workhorse of dominance. Typical Yankees luck. You know what's also seemingly typical? Pinstripes somehow falling apart due to injury. They've been fucking bad these past few weeks. A massive cold snap has cleared out some of the smug. Anger is approaching from the west. Gleyber Torres' bat has sapped power. Juan Soto's been a great addition, but he's been struggling lately. Carlos Rodon's back to his 2023 form. And apparently it's because they're without Rizzo, Trevino, and Giancarlo? That's why? At least last year was because of an injured Judge. Ben Rice has filled in admirably for Rizzo. What the fuck gives? Turn into Verdugo stumbling and falling to a walk-off double. Get your fucking shit together. But hey, Garrett Cole's back and it's all that matters. Results haven't been good so far, but he's back. Is anyone all that surprised that the Rays have run out of MP in their playthrough? Look at what's happened to them over the past year and change. The face of their franchise as a pedophile might be going to jail in the Dominican for decades. Pitching staff has been utterly decimated by injury and elbow surgeries. Oh, they got Shane Baz back. And all it's resulted is in him having unbelievable rust. To be honest, Tampa Bay's lucky to even be at a 500 pace with all this shit. When Randy's not hitting at all until the end of May, there isn't gonna be much winning. There's a reason why they shipped off Aaron Savale to Milwaukee a few weeks ago. And no, it's not because he was disappointing here. This just doesn't feel like their year. Not even close. Too much conspiring against them, especially in the collapse of their bullpen. This team isn't a specific suck, but an all-encompassing suck. Sorta not their fault, but no caveats at this table. Even if they finally got a new stadium after years of anguish. It's being built in St. Pete. That just solves one of many problems. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. A team with this much talent and ability scattered throughout shouldn't be this much of a fucking struggle bus. Then again, we should have expected this the moment they brought back John Schneider after butchering the Twins series. The proxy must have been witnessing the bats become completely anemic. What the fuck happened to Bichette at the plate? Is he scared of his stalker on Twitter? Where is Kirk's bat? Where is Varsho's bat? Where's Springer's ability? Where's Vlad gonna end up at the end of the month? Rumors of him and Bo getting traded are running rampant, and the departure would result in an unbelievable failure of this window. A massive skid over June into July as fans calling for heads. I'd say arms, but the pitchers have lost those too. Jordan Romano's disintegrated into glorified BP. Alek Manoah didn't just lose weight, he lost his health. Speaking of loss, I reckon the Jays should go on the Atkins diet. Preferably losing the weight of their GM of the same name. Schneider, he should have been gone a while ago. I have the unfortunate burden to announce that the White Sox exist. I wish they didn't, but like the first base coach disappearing in extras to take a shit, they're just shit. That's probably a compliment. Jerry Reinsdorf deserves this. Now to sell assets at the deadline for pennies on the dollar. We'll take Luis Robert in Pittsburgh. Cleveland Guardians finally solving their internal issues and becoming a great team. Dare say I'm impressed. Shane Bieber went under the knife. I expected some regression, but they've been kicking ass. Stephen Vogt's done a tremendous job keeping his boys locked in, especially at the plate. Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor finally have support for their efforts. David Fry's an on-base machine, but Stephen Kwan's just a machine. That dude just hits. And hits. And hits some more. He's leading the league in batting average by a country mile with some decent power as well. It's aided by a bullpen that just silences opposition. Swoop in at night and take your hopes and dreams away from you. I just feel they need a touch more to get back to the promised land. Another player or two hitting? A guy like Logan Allen or Tristan McKenzie getting back to what they were after a stint in the minors? Tanner Bybee's been good, but he won't be good enough. Time is now, Cleveland. Get to it. Detroit is the epitome of an enigmatic team. Honestly, they're Javi Baez. When they're in form, they're a dynamic franchise and a treat to watch. Otherwise, they're flailing around whiffing at outside sliders. Streaky, streaky, streaky. Pitching's been solid for the most part. Jack Flaherty's revived to his great Cardinal form. Jason Foley's done great work as a first-year closer. And Derek Skubal, most underrated pitcher in baseball. I only wish I could say the same about the bats. Two different arcs are seen. Bradley Green has been a true asset and emerging core piece as expected. Spencer Torkelson? No, just no. Most bats are closer to Torque than Green. And then there's Baez. How long until Detroit has enough and buys him out? He's got 3 more years left on his deal. Well, have fun with that. With the winning before the All-Star break, their future may involve selling off Foley and Skubal, the pitching-hungry teams. Hey, you're gonna get a haul and a half for those guys, and you don't have Alavila butchering returns. You should be fine. It appears that going bold for the first time in an age has led to a nice reward. The Royals are relevant again. No longer mired in the basement with only the Tigers and White Sox to keep them company, but a group seeking more. It's all but assured when Bobby Witt Jr. is becoming the new age George Brett. The face of the franchise having a breakout season of envy. An all-around five-tool talent that Kansas City has dreamed about for years. The Patrick Mahomes of the baseball world, so to speak. Salvi Perez turning the clock back to join him and mashing the ball leads the Royals back to the pace of life. And that rotation. Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans have been excellent. Waka too. But here's the problem. What do the Royals do at the deadline? Lugo and Waka are on short-term deals and the bullpen's just meh. Are they merely punching above their weight? The answer may be to add. Hunter Harvey was added to shore up the pen. I think they smell blood. Go get him, boys. It's been too long since you've been here. I finally figured it out. The Minnesota Twins are imitating Rocco Baldelli's career. Good players all around that just can't stay healthy. Byron Buxton is one of the most talented players in the game today. It'd be nice if he wasn't banged up every few weeks. Royce Lewis is an incredible asset in the batter's box. I'd prefer that he didn't keep getting injured as well. Edouard Julian's miracle run has surrendered to a trip to the minors, but Carlos Correa and Jose Miranda picked up the slack. But where they really shine? Their bullpen. I'd honestly put it up there with some of the best units in the game. Deadly arms everywhere you look. The starting rotation isn't too far behind them. The Twins know what they need to do. They must keep adding. Cleveland has taken the reins of the division with a fast start. Minnesota must keep up with them regardless of cost. They've had a taste of victory, but can they repeat it? Don't be shocked about the Astros' god-awful start. If their starting rotation was that shattered, you too would free fall into an abyss. Take last year's injuries, add several Verlander ailments throughout the year, and multiply that by long-term issues to Javier and Urquidy, blowing through pitchers like Ryan Presley suddenly blowing leads. The hitting wasn't helping much either. Jose Abreu went from leading anchor to a lemon. Burned the fuck out. Things seemed quite dire as Yankees fans celebrated the end of their boogeyman. Or was it too soon? Houston's been one of the hottest teams in baseball since mid-June. The bats have finally come around, and it's the usual suspects. The only other thing to say? Ronel Blanco has been a stud. No hit starter of need in their darkest hour. They'll need more of him, Framber Valdez, and more of that strong bullpen. I expect their bats to keep up the solid production, Kyle Tucker's injury aside. Sorry, Bronx, they aren't dead yet. I don't know whether the Angels are simply a doomed soul or suffer the wrath of a vengeful god. To see them consistently fail at everything they do has me conflicted. The fans certainly don't deserve this. Players don't either. Hell, even Rendon doesn't, and that man's 1 foot away from a flight to Cancun to the injured list most days. On the other hand, fuck Artie Moreno. This fact alone is justification for this team being complete shit. Players flail around at everything that moves, the fielding's subpar, and then there's the pitching. For everything they've done to try and improve it, they're still incredibly deplorable, competing for esteemed titles such as highest team ERA and FIP in the league. Busted prospects, busted hopes and dreams, busted franchise. You thought Robert Stevenson was gonna save their bullpen? They're lucky he'll pitch for them in 2025. Fans are openly revolting against Artie, and there seems to be no end in sight. But remember, it always gets worse. The A's haven't given a shit about their team performance for a few years now. All they care about is getting the fuck out of Oakland. Apparently, John Fisher's plan is to simply keep teabagging the city's corpse every chance he gets. Perhaps that's also in their play to start the year. They were actually okay throughout April. Things were progressing with the youth they've accrued throughout their great sell-off. The Coward Terminal's demise reality is cruel. The extremely questionable parts of the team reared their ugly head. Cut and paste the same comments from 2022 and 2023, and that should do it. The good news is that Brent Rooker's still solid and Mason Miller's a beast. I expect they'll be traded for more shiny pebbles soon enough. You can't have them going to Sacramento with this traveling circus. They've got politicians in Oakland to get the last laugh at. One more fuck you, their final game at Oko will be a replica stadium giveaway. For extra irony, it should ooze sewage and fall apart like most A's seasons. I merely ask one question about the Mariners. Will this team ever hit anything? It's apparently something Seattle can't answer in any fashion. How poorly they approach the batter's box, you think it's the Monstar sapping the team of its talent. I'm dead serious. There's no hitter with an OPS above 750, and the Mariners are hitting under fucking 220 as a team. They lead the league in strikeouts by an entire J.P. Crawford. It took J-Rod 3 months to get back to form. Something has to give. And this is in spite of their strong start in a crumbling division. Thank the goddamn Lord their pitching staff is legendary. When I say legendary, I mean this for pretty much every arm on it. Starter and bullpen alike. Excellence and deception aplenty, stifling hitters with ease. Except for you, Emerson Hancock. Once again, this isn't sustainable. Either the Mariners hitting steps it up or the pitching will suffer the consequences. When they hold off the hounds of war, will the contentment of 54% hold them back? More than a few teams are reviving themselves. Time is precious. This is an interesting twist on the World Series hangover. Beginning of the Rangers season, a hot mess. Freezing cold. Bats of Evan Carter, Semien, and Adolis were nowhere near their fall classic potency. Injuries and departures in the pitching staff were taking their toll. Jack Leiter's ballyhoo debut backfired faster than hitters teeing off him. They also teed off on Josh Young's health, apparently. Ever since this point, they've been... very hot and very cold alike. Decent winning streaks countered by losing skids and vice versa. We need Goldilocks to find the just right category. Maybe it's returning to 6 runs per game. Maybe that's in the return of Max Scherzer. He's done well in a limited sample size. Josh Smith has done a tremendous job of filling in for Young. Oh, I know what it is. Kirby Yates' revival has been very, very real. Once again, still a chance to get their shit together, but can they take it? The rest of the AL's gonna make sure they don't.
Yeah. that I play.